Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1983 Detroit Tigers season replay. Today we're going to take a look at the American League West and we're going to preview each and every team, take a look at their roster, as well as their stadium effects. If you haven't watched the American League East, I did that video a couple of days ago. It went a little long, longer than I like. But we took our time because the Tigers are in that division, of course, and so that took a little bit longer. We're going to try to speed through this a little quicker today and make sure we hit all the fine points. You're taking a look here at the American League West final standings as Seattle won the division and they went to the World Series, losing to Cincinnati. We already know that Seattle gave Detroit a lot of trouble during the regular season. We thought we'd come up with a formula to beat them, but they, were just too tough in the playoffs, solid all the way through. We're going to talk more in depth about them later on in the video. We're going to go ahead and kick it off with the Minnesota Twins, who finished with the worst batting average in the American League, the second worst home run total, second worst stolen base total, and among the worst in the American League in ERA. So this is a terrible team, and we're going to take a look here at their starting lineup. The only hope that they have is they have Big Daddy Cecil Fielder, who they brought up as an 18-year-old to get 265 at-bats last year. This game always seems to take youngsters and throw them right into the cleanup spot. And I guess why not, toss a youngster into the fire? I guess that's what the adage is. And in addition to Cecil Fielder, it looks like they're going to give the DH role to Jim Eisenreich, who has 49 at-bats in 1981. Didn't play at all in the majors last year. So those are a couple of the young players that they have on their roster. Everything else is just sad ratings. Look at this. Everyone else is under 80 with the exception of Gary Renicky, who had 24 home runs and led the team with 89 RBI. Looking at their bench, again, a bunch of sad sacks here. Everyone's under 80. Do they have anyone who can help them in the future? Down in the minor league system here, I mean, I'm just scrolling through and I don't see anyone. Jack Doherty to play first. He was a Texas Ranger in real life. Didn't play a ton in the majors, but it looks like he could be good. Tim Tuffle, longtime Minnesota Twin, looks like he could help them potentially at short. Greg Olson, the catcher's rated 80. Greg Gagne, we like him. He could always get some PT. Randy Velarde still in single A. Herbeck, Ken Herbeck, he was in the majors by 1983. In fact, there's his second year card. I believe he actually had a 1982 card as well. He's only 22 years old, but he was at that point practically a veteran in the American League West. B.J. Surhoff, one of my favorite players from this era. So you know what? They do have some hope. I don't know why they're choosing to bring Cecil Fielder up and not bring up Herbeck or Gagne or even Greg Olson to play catcher. I mean, Greg Olson's got to be better than Dave Engel. They do have one injury. That is Dave Roberts, who they picked up last year as a free agent, and then he got injured. He's going to be out for another 82 days, and I don't think he's going to factor much in this season. We're going to take a look at the pitching rotation for the Twins. Hey, they have sweet music, Frank Viola. He went 6-19 last year in his second season. Well, I guess he got bits and pieces of 80 and 81, but his first full year was last year. And he's got a ton of potential. Didn't really pitch all that well as a 21-year-old. There's his 1983 Topps card. So he was in the majors at age 22. Rated potentially a 93 And he goes to arbitration next year, so he hasn't really had a chance to do much for the Twins, and yet they're going to be paying him the big bucks before too long. And then the rotation fills out with Paul Moskow, who they got back in 1980 in a trade. He went 15-16. That's 31 decisions. How many starts did he get? He had 31 decisions in 35 games started. That's insane. 6 complete games. Chuck Rady, who they got from Boston, Dennis Burt and Tom Klowitter, which a couple minor leaguers that have worked their way into the rotation. They do have some injuries. Doug Rowell got injured in spring training here. He's going to miss almost the first full month of the season. They're paying him the big bucks. He is on the hook until 1985 for $890,000 a year. And he was out of baseball by 1981. So I have no idea what is going to happen to Doug Rowell. He's only rated a 76. So he might not even make it back into the rotation ever on this team. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. There was another injury. Oh, yeah, Bob Veselek, who pitched in relief last year. Terribly rated. He won't be back until late in the season. The bullpen, Doug Corbett is their new closer. Why would they get rid of Frank LaCourte? He pitched really well. He had 26 saves, looking solid. Good ERA, good strikeout to any pitch ratio. And Randy Lurch works his way back to the majors. Poorly rated at a 77. Did not play at all in 1982. And in 1983, in real life, he was on the Expos. So he was at the majors. Let's take a look at their pitchers in the minor leagues here. Wow, not a lot. Mike Canoonen has an 80. He got 24 innings pitched last year. I mean, this team is not good. Kevin Gross, this guy should be in this rotation right now. Although in real life he didn't make it to the majors until 1984. So there's his rookie card. So maybe he's got a little more seasoning. I don't know how you could want to pitch Tom Klowitter over Kevin Gross. It'd probably be a spring training call-up. I mean, Frank Euphemia, I don't think did much in real life. Marvin Freeman had a couple good years with the Rockies. Yeah, I mean, they've got nothing. They've got nothing. Yeah, I can't see this team doing much better than they did this year. I mean, they had no free agent signings, and they've made no trades so far. And remember, Minnesota won the West in 1980, our first sim season. They made all kinds of trades that year to manage to get to the playoffs, and of course, they were knocked out that year. So that is the lineup and rotation for the Twinkies. Let's take a look at their stadium effects. Of course, the Metrodome was brand new in 1982. That was the first year. So this is the second year. Let's see what kind of numbers we're looking at. Clearly they did not have a good offensive year. Home runs by left-handers, 9% less likely in this stadium. Home runs by right-handers, 17% higher. So right-handed bats are favored. Even look at the hits, 19% above average, while left-handers are 85. So that's 15%. Doubles, 20% more likely. Triples, 21% more likely. Strikeouts, around average. Double plays, less likely. Errors are less likely as well. So this is a fly ball stadium, it looks like, that definitely favors right-handers over lefties. And in this lineup, I guess it's not going to matter much. Maybe Renicky will have another big year. But not at all like Toronto, the Exhibition Stadium, which we saw in the East video, that where left-handers have a 200% chance, a 100% chance more likely to hit a home run in that stadium. So that bodes well for the home team and any lefties that are coming in. So that's going to do it for the Twinkies. Let's take a look at the next team, which was the Texas Rangers. The Rangers, they keep slipping south in this division. They did make one big off-season signing, and that is Otto Veliz is signed to play left field. Not a good defender in left field, but his bat plays anywhere. So here's a career 255 hitter, getting paid big money. Is going to be on this team for a couple more seasons, and he's moved around. We started playing in 1980, so he's been on Toronto, Houston, started last year on Atlanta, finished the year on Kansas City, and now he's on the Rangers. So 1982 was his last season in Major League Baseball. So who knows what he's going to be like in the next couple of seasons. Otto the Swatto. Looks like the DH position is going to go to a rookie, Jim Lindemann, like a career quadruple A player in real life. But he's got some pop. And Bump Wills was a standout. I don't know why he's batting so low in this lineup. Had 22 home runs and 19 stolen bases. Wow, I didn't even notice. Otto had 107 RBI combined last year between the two teams. So, I mean, I guess he deserves that money. Billy Sample, who was batting third, drops all the way down to the number 9 spot. And he had 87 RBI. So I don't think this manager knows what they're doing. Let's take a look at the bench. Bunch of scrubs here, too. Bob Brower. Yeah, he got called up and played. Oh, no, he didn't play at all last year. So he's going to make spring training as a backup center fielder, kind of a fourth outfielder on this team. And they have a lot of decent players, former major leaguers, at least in the minors here. I mean, Richie Zisk had 12 dongs last year. Mike Hart, Tom Dunbar didn't do so hot. They have Steve Garvey down in Double-A. Dwayne Kuiper, solid glove. Let's see who they have that can help them out. Third base, Steve Bichelle had a lot of pop back in his day. Almost rated higher than Tucker Ashford. So at some point we're going to see Bichelle up, I would imagine. Who else do they have here? Nobody else jumping out at me there. Glenn Bragg's pretty darn good outfielder for the Brew Crew. Good defense, had some speed. Trent Hubbard had a moment in the majors playing for Colorado. Hey, they have Jose Canseco potentially to play right field in the future. Okay, well, he's only 18 years old. There's his minor league baseball card for 1983 in the Midwest League. Anybody else on this team? I mean, Jeff Rebele, look at those numbers. Ed Whited to play third. Mexican League player Homar Rojas. I mean, these are all single A. They have some really highly rated players. Former Tiger Nelson Simmons. So, they have some potential. They're probably still a couple years away. And they've bought a decent lineup. So perhaps they will maybe, again, get their way back to 500. I mean, it's possible. They won 70 games. It wouldn't be unlikely that they could win, 81 games in this division. Let's take a look at the pitchers. This might hold them back. Their pitching staff is rough. They do have Al Lakowitz, who none of us have ever heard of, but for some reason is rated incredibly high in this game. He went 11-16 with a 5.70 ERA. He's made 62 career starts. And last season was an abomination. Look at the walk to strikeout ratio. Pretty pathetic, but he's got a lively fastball rated, tops out 93, rated an 89. So he's got one good pitch, and maybe that's all you need in Texas. Ask Nolan Ryan. They do have Bryn Smith, who we traded over there and almost knocked us out of the playoffs with a late season start against us. He was 2-2 for us with a 5.60 ERA. Went 6-13 for Texas. Moose Haas was signed as a free agent last year. Brian Allard, maybe their best hope. Only rated as 79. Jim Farr, not great. They have a couple starters here in AAA, also poorly rated. Doc Medich and Don Kaner. And then they have Charlie Huff. I mean, he was in relief. Jim Kern, who was an all-star reliever. How does he not make the team as a right-hander? They want to go with 3 left-handers, all rated much more poorly than Jim Kern. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But Tom Hankey's their closer. They even sent him down to the minors last season at one point. Bob Babcock rated a 69. Nice. Had a good season. I mean, their bullpen is not great. I don't know why you have 3 lefties, 2 in short relief. But that is their setup. Let's take a look at their bench. Their minor league system here for pitchers. They have someone named Mike Mason. I believe he was a former Tiger. Perhaps not. John Butcher, Tony Fossis. They have a lot of quadruple A level players. There's Norm Charlton, one of the nasty boys for the Reds. Sean Hilgis. I mean, they've got nothing in the minors. Holy cow. Jerry Don Gleaton rated 80. Jim Kern. I mean, at least they have some depth, I suppose. More than the Twins, that's for sure. But yeah, they have no hope at starting rotation. They're definitely a team that needs to make a signing to give them at least a quality 4th starter. So yeah, I don't expect much from the Rangers. Maybe 500 based on their lineup, but we'll take a look at their stadium effects and see if there's anything that will give them some hope offensively. Oh, God. Hell no. Look at this. Left-handed batters are 53% likely to hit a home run. So this was one of the worst stadiums in baseball for left-handers to hit home runs. And batters overall, there's not going to be any home runs hit in this park. Right-handers, 63 rated. So that's 37% less likely to hit a home run. Compared to other stadiums. Wow. Hits by lefties, left-handers are going to die in this stadium. Right-handed hitters a little bit above average. Doubles below average. Triples a little bit higher. Big deal. Strikeouts a little bit above average. Double plays, errors, not likely. Who are the left-handers in this lineup? Let's take one more quick look at that. I'm curious. Pete O'Brien, and that's it. So maybe that's what they did, is they signed a right-handed bat, and they're having lineups versus righties. All righties. So, yeah, they do have a lot of lefties here in the minor leagues. So that's maybe what they're constructing their lineup to be, is a right-handed lineup, since lefties do not hit well. That'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that when the season gets going. I'm curious anyway. Let's take a look at the next team. It is the Oakland Athletics. Oaktown, this team continues to underwhelm all of us. Now, part of it is because of me trading some of our worst players and most highly paid players to this team. And we've pillaged Ricky Henderson from them. So let's take a look at this lineup. They have a lot of speed. As you can see, they have 4 starters with more than 20 stolen bases. And they have Kevin Mitchell, which was the 1981 Rookie of the Year winner. So he had 33 home runs, second in the American League in home runs. Shooty Babbitt goes to DH instead of second base. They got Jerry Remy playing second. He batted .293. Pretty solid. Tony Brewer had 106 RBI. So they have a pretty potent 3-4 in this lineup. Plus, you got to love Tony Phillips batting second. He walks a ton, led the team in on-base percentage. Rusty McNeely bounced back and forth. He doesn't hit well, but he steals. And he plays center field. Basically took that role over from Ricky, even though Ricky's a left fielder. Carlton Fisk, we traded him over there, dumped him on him. He's rated a 64. His career's done. Larry Herndon, Mickey Klutz, Rob Picciolo. And let's take a look at who they have in the minors. Nobody in AAA. Nobody in AA. Take to Bruce Fields, former Detroit Tiger. Has some nice rating. Mickey Tettleton. Switch hitting catcher with a lot of power. He's got 90 power in this game. Played in the majors in our first sim season, and they haven't brought him back. I don't know what they're waiting for. He's rated an 80. And Ed Putman is an 80, so I would pick Mickey Tettleton over Ed Putman. Who else do we have? This looks terrible. Another former Tiger, Chris Pitaro. Oh, they have Cal Rivkin Jr. That's right. He's in single A ball. In 1983, the year we're going to sim here, Cal Rivkin won the MVP. He was the AL MVP winner. And he did not play in 82 at all, which was his rookie year. And he's down there with the Madison Muskies for the Oakland A's in single A ball. So I wonder if we'll see him looking defensively. He can play anywhere in the infield. Plus, I mean, this guy is valuable. He's not happy. He wants to join a contender. And don't forget, this is Ripken's third team. He started, of course, with Baltimore. He got traded to the Reds, and then the Reds traded him to the A's. Nobody wants Cal. All right, let's see who else they have. They have Gallego, we mentioned, and Ripken. They have Robbie Thompson. They have a lot of infield depth just between those four guys. Stanley Jefferson. Donnie Hill, another good infielder. Charlie O'Brien to catch. Mackie Sasser. Maybe he could never throw the ball back to the pitcher. He had the yips. They got Nails, Lenny Dykstra, Jim Leyritz, Ellis Burks, all-star. He's probably their best player in the minors. I don't know who Steve Carter is, but Eddie Williams, GM for the White Sox. I mean, they have a lot of really great depth in single A. And they have some pretty good players. I mean, this is not a bad hitting team. I guess we'll have to take a look at their stadium effects. But, I mean, you have to like what you see here. The first four in the lineup. I'd probably move Mike Davis into the number 5 spot and then let the rest of the lineup fill itself out. Let's take a look at the pitchers. Okay, so Mike Warren is now the new staff ace. In real life, he didn't make the majors until 1984. We all know that. He pitched a no-hitter. And then he disappeared from the world. He had a really good 3/4 of a season, I guess. Look at that. 164 innings pitched, 112 strikeouts, 11-6. Not a great ERA. Pretty solid. They've still got Mike Norris, Rick Langford, Larry White. He got called up last year, became a starter. Has a pretty good rating, but some ugly numbers there. And the number 5 starter is going to be Matt Keow with a 2.80 ERA with 200 innings pitched. That's pretty good. 14-7 record for your number 5 starter. And then their bullpen looks like they have a hard time figuring out who the closer is going to be. They're going to elect Ben Hayes, who had a 2.20 ERA. That's probably a good choice. Shotzi, we traded over there. He had a great year, having 15 saves, almost pitching 100 innings in relief. Rick Camp, Ernie Camacho was a closer in the majors for the Indians at one point. Jeff Jones was a Tigers pitching coach. He did pitch last year, but he'll get a chance to break spring training for the A's. Let's take a look and see who they have in the minors. A lot of schlubs. Rick Russell. Russell went 10-6. And then they dropped him to AAA. He's lowly rated now. Tim Conray looks like a stud. Kurt Young also rated highly. Dave Beard rated highly. Joe Bever in relief. Jim Corsi just passed away. Keith Atherton. I mean, look at all these. I have to name everybody on this team. Billy Taylor, Tim Burtsis, Jeff Kaiser, Mike Morgan could be a starter on this team. Bill Kruger, Steve Ontiveros. I mean, everybody. Look at all this. Scott Bankhead. Are there any big names? Russ Swan had an okay career. Mike Cook. And Bill Mooneyham is injured. He could go right to the majors. Got 13 more days to go there. I mean, they have a ton of people that are going to be ready to go. So this is a team with a lot of hope. I don't know if they're going to be like the A's in real life and sell off everybody, but you have to like what they have to offer so far. Let's take a look at the Oakland Alameda County Stadium numbers. This is a terrible stadium. Oh, yeah, this stadium is consistently bad. Look at those numbers there. Left-handed batters just under average for home runs. Righties don't hit dongs. Hits for lefties and righties, both under 100. Doubles, terrible. Triples, terrible. Strikeouts, less likely. That's good. Double plays, less likely. And errors, tons of errors. So, no hits, lots of errors. A pitcher's ballpark, absolutely. We're going to see some good numbers from the pitching staff. So that's exciting. We'll see how. We'll keep an eye on the pitcher staff for the A's. What were they last year? A 4.13 ERA. They almost had a home run a game, and tons of stolen bases. So, okay, let's take a look at the next team. We're moving on from Oakland. The next team listed is Kansas City. California. I'm sorry. Let's take a look at the Angels. Okay, so this lineup, pretty good, if I remember right. I mean, they certainly gave us trouble last year. Gary Pettis, 53 stolen bases, almost scored 100 runs. Carney Lansford put up some pretty good numbers. Darryl Sconyers, first year, I believe. Yeah, playing, and he did all right. Weirdly in the cleanup role. John Harris at first. Dickie Thon will take over the job at short. Steve Lubertich was the shortstop. He was technically a second baseman, so I corrected that in the game, taking the shortstop position. Taking the second base position away from, who was their second base player? Maybe they lost him all around. I guess they did. So I don't know who. I can't remember who. Oh, it was Bobby Gritsch. So, yeah, Bobby Gritsch, who was their second baseman, is now on the bench in favor of Steve Lubertich. Don Baylor still hanging in there. Put up a good year, 19 home runs. So, I mean, that's a solid lineup. They hit home runs. They have one stolen base guy to worry about. The bench is good. I love having Brian Downing on the bench, batting .337 last year. Bobby Gritsch probably should still be in the lineup. That's my bad, but I'd rather have accuracy and hope that it all works itself out. Anyone in AAA? No. It feels like in this game, AAA players are the players who are on their way out of baseball. You don't ever see anybody good in AAA. Let's look at AA. I don't know who Pete Coachman is, but he looks good on paper. Jack Howell playing third base on this team. Who's your third baseman? Oh, Carney Lansford. So he must have taken over for Lansford when he got traded to Boston in real life. There's Bruno, Tom Brunansky. Probably should be in there at first over John Harris. Rolando Rooms. I don't know. Darren Jackson, good numbers there. Should be out patrolling center field before too long. And this is Craig Grabeck. Had a nice little career for a guy that was 5'8". That's about it from the Angels. Again, this is a sub 500 team with a 77 win total last year. So, I mean, again, I don't see them doing much more with that lineup than 500. I guess it's going to depend on their pitchers. And we know they have that son of a bitch, Frank Tanana, who put up a pretty good year last year. I believe he did get injured. They have Mike Witt, who is up and coming. Ed Halicki was out of baseball by 1982, but he's holding on. He got 14 wins for the Angels in 36 starts, and is still technically their ace. Ron Rominic, now, I mean, his numbers were not good, but in every sim that I've ever done, Ron Rominic has been really good. I've had him on my Tigers before. His problem is he gets injured a shit ton. His health is 59. The guy is injured perpetually, and he missed a big part of the season last year when he was finally given a chance to pitch. So he's in there as the number 5 starter, but we don't expect to see him much. Mike, look at the bullpen. Mark Clear, 32 saves, maybe the best reliever in the American League. Maybe right up there with Roger Weaver, anyway. The bullpen looks pretty solid. They have Mike O'Very, and as I've said before, you can't spell overreaction without ovaries. Take a look at the AAA. They have Bruce Keeson through 160 innings pitched with a 6.62 ERA. That's not good. Don Ossie. How does this guy not get a roster spot? Every year he gets called up well, not every year. He didn't even get called up in 81. He got called up for 3 games in September. And I don't know why he can't get an opportunity. Hell, he even got a start in 1980 in our first year of the sim. Who do they have in AA? They have Bill Wagman, who got a cup of coffee. Tony Mack, return of the Mack. Looks good. Kirk McCaskill had a really good career. He is promoted to AA for the 1983 season. He's played for the Nashua Angels. Where's Nashua at? I don't even know. Maybe somewhere in Texas. Okay, so Kurt Brown looking at single A ball. Gene Harris. Dwayne Ward, closer for Toronto. And Terry Matthews. So, I mean, this team, gosh, I mean, they have a little bit of depth. I mean, I like their relief staff. Everybody in their rotation is above 80. So, I mean, this team could be above, with their lineup, could be a better than 500 team. They won the World Series just 2 years ago. So, it hasn't been that long since they've had some major success. But I guess it's going to depend on their stadium effects. Let's take a look at their stadium. It's Anaheim Stadium. Been there forever. Yeah, I like the way this looks. Left-handed batters are going to clobber it. 26% above average. Righties do better than average as well. Hits for lefties, right around average. Right-handed batters, a little bit above average. Doubles, not so much. Triples, forget about it. Strikeouts below average, and double plays are going to be more likely. Errors, wow, 18% more likely in Anaheim Stadium. The park factor overall is 4% below average, so I think you take the park factor and you include that in the overall numbers. So if it's 4% less likely than the average stadium, then you can maybe make this 122 or 102. I think that's how you're supposed to think of it. So Anaheim Stadium, it's got some pop and not so good defensively. Okay, now we're going to move on to Kansas City. This is one of the craziest teams I've seen. Last year they batted over 300 for almost the entirety of the season, and then they fell apart. Right around like August, they started to, I think, run out of steam. George Brett was batting over 400. I thought we were going to have our first 400 hitter. He just dropped off the map. The starting rotation really faltered, and they really just stopped hitting. They finished at 291, which is still pretty damn impressive, but they held the lead in the American League West almost all year, and then Seattle surged, and Chicago did as well. So let's take a look at this team. Did they make any major changes? No, I guess they didn't. This is looking pretty much like the same lineup as last year. Yeah, this is the same as it ever was. George Brett finished at 306, 25 homers, 122 RBI. He led the AL in RBI. Willie Aikens had 96 ribbies. Rance Mulliniks, look at that, 106 runs and 101 RBI. A 406 on base percentage. And this guy's batting 7th in the lineup, batting .320. Butch Davis, batting .350. Everybody batted. If you're in the lineup, we're going to let you bat .300. A couple people struggled. Let's take a look at the bench here. Again, nobody of real note. Kelly Heath did play a little bit down the stretch in the starting lineup. Let's take a look here. Nobody of note in AAA. I mean, Terry Harper did get traded over there last year and was in a platoon in right field. George Orda was the starting second baseman. He was the starting second baseman for the All-Star game last year. And then they just dumped him down in the minors. They have nobody. Oh, my gosh. Nobody. Carl Nichols, catcher, not great. I mean, wow. They've got nothing. Fred McGriff, holy cow, they've got the crime dog down in single A, waiting for the taking the. I mean, he could take the job right now from Pete Lecoq. That's how you have to say it. You say Lecoq. Yeah, I mean his rating is actually higher right now. He could get the job. Maybe he'll have it before the end of the year. Bip Roberts to play second. Andy Stankiewicz to play short. Jose Gonzalez. That's not. Okay, yeah, that's an unknown Gonzalez. Okay, so I mean they do have one solid player. If he was in the majors right now, how old is Fred McGriff? Oh, he's only 19 years old. He's already 2 for 4 this season in the minors. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's still got some growing to do. Let's take a look at the pitchers. Their pitchers are horrible. Horrible. Look at this pitching staff. I remember Dennis Leonard had 14 wins at the All-Star break and finished with 17. And everybody in this rotation was out of baseball by 1983, except for Rich Gale. As you can see, he was on the Reds that year. And maybe will stick around. But everybody else, the other 4 pitchers were done. I mean, and some of them were done years before. Mike Paxton, I looked it up, had the worst WAR of anybody in this sim. I don't think it shows you here. I think I had to look it up in other methods, but trust me, he had the worst WAR, a 7.04 ERA in 188 innings pitched. Bullpen was okay, right? I mean, Raleigh Eastwick was the closer. Mark Huseman will be the closer this year. Jeff Schattinger, past tense. And, yeah, I mean, Atlee Hammaker, I believe in 1982, led the National League in ERA in real life. And they've got Roger Mason, wow, 86 rating. He's kind of in between a starter and a reliever, 3 or 4 innings. So I don't know if he'll have any success in the majors. Keith Creel got some starts at the end of the year. Get him in there now. 3.89 ERA in 5 starts. I mean, this guy, what do you got to lose? Mike Jones, he looks good. Jack O'Connor, Daryl Smith, Frank Wills, Tom Bolton. I mean, these are not names that are wowing me here. Oh, there's Sabes. Brett Saberhagen only rated a 73 in single A. So, yeah, it's going to be a while. Well, actually, in 1984, he made his debut as a 20-year-old. So, maybe he might find a way to the majors. And that's all they've got, guys. I mean, Keith Creel and Sabes. Roger Mason probably could be in there right now. But they've got nothing on this team. They need to trade off some of their heavy hitters for some pitchers. Let's take a look at Royal Stadium park effects. Okay, yeah, this team is not going to hit nearly as well as they did last year. Look at that. Left-handers, 21% less likely to hit home runs. Right-handers, 11%. Lefties getting hits right around average. Right-handers will do a little bit better. Doubles average. Triples, oh, shit ton of triples. 64% more likely to hit triples. They're not going to strike out much, though. They're going to put the ball in play. Maybe hit into more double plays. 6% more likely, and a lot more in errors. So the Royals will not, they're on the decline quickly. I mean, we saw right as it was happening last year. They just completely fell off the map. And we're going to take a look at the White Sox. This team was the team that won the West in 1983. They had the Cy Young Award winner in Lamar Hoyt. They had the Rookie of the Year in Ron Kittle in real life in 1983. And Tony La Russa was the Manager of the Year in the American League. So having said that, I don't know how that plays to the White Sox in our 1983 sim season. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, they have two players in the lineup that did not even play last year, including Rod Allen, former Detroit Tiger World Series winner with the Tigers in '84, and then became a broadcaster until he got all fought up in the booth, and he's fired. Now he does color commentary for the Marlins. He got hired this year, so good for Rod Allen. But anyway, he's going to be in the lineup, playing DH for the White Sox. Ron Kittle had a great year once I moved him from catcher. Remember, he was a catcher last year. We flipped him over to left field, and he got to play. As Biff Pocoroba had a career year, 27 home runs, batting .290 with 86 RBI. That's amazing. Sap Randall's going to play first as a switch hitter. Can't tell you much about him. He was playing for Edmonton in the Pacific Coast League. Buddy Bell back in there playing great third base. Fran Mullins is your shortstop. Sorry, I almost had a sneeze there for a second. Jim Sundberg, backup catcher, batting .300. Maybe best defensive catcher in baseball. Harry Chapass. Henry Cruz was the DH last year, batting .328. And he loses his job to Rod Allen. Let's see, who do they have in the minors? Mike Squires loses his job at first. As I mentioned, that goes to Sap Randall, which is okay. The guy didn't hit any home runs as an everyday first baseman. You really can't do that anymore. That will never fly. I'm sure he'll get some PT. Yeah, then we have nobody in Double-A. Let's take a look here. Scroll down. A lot of players. Oh, hell yeah. Whatever happened to Oddibe McDowell? So he loses his job to Tony Scott, who is a washed-up, really hoping to be a fourth outfielder. So, yeah, I mean, this will not last. Obviously, Tony Scott will get a shot, maybe because he's a switch hitter and solid defensively. But Oddibe McDowell, left-hander, had 51 stolen bases, scored 84 runs. Didn't get on base very well. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know. But we got Brad Kaminsky. We have Darnell Coles, who was a great power-hitting middle infielder. Harold Baines, I mean, this game has done him dirty. He didn't even play last year. He's basically maxed out at 80 as a rating. And he was, was he a rookie in 83? Yeah, so he was a rookie this year, and his ratings are all jacked up. So, I mean, that sucks. If you're a Harold Baines fan, he is not going to contribute much. Let's take a look at Single A. They've got Greg Walker coming up. They've got Joel Skinner, Rick Shue, Dale Swaim. Dave Martinez. He had a nice little career. And I mean, they have a lot of future managers In the minor leagues, Rick Shue, Dale Swaim, Dave Martinez all managed in the majors. So, I don't know. I guess they don't have a ton to look forward to. There's a couple decent players. I mean, Darnell Coles, Odie McDowell, we've already seen what he can do. So those are some players who could make it to the majors. But they really are going to rely on some players who never really did much, doing a lot once again. I mean, Fran Mullins, Neil Fiala, who batted .327 last year. I think he finished second or third in batting average. Biff Pocoroba, like as I said, had a great year. So they're going to need more of the same, and certainly another big season out of Ron Kittle. We'll take a look at their stadium effects, and then maybe that'll determine what happens next. Now, this is their strength, and that would be their rotation. They have Richard Dotson, who looks, his numbers definitely project him as an ace. Still has room to grow. John Matlack on the decline, but won 15 games. Britt Burns, Steve Trout, Ken Kravick. Burnsy getting his first full season this year, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's basically just been a September call-up, but now he's ready to go every 5 days. And they did suffer an injury in spring training, Francisco Barrios, who pitched 172 innings in 1982 despite being dead in real life. So that's an accomplishment, right? Considering he wasn't alive. So, yeah, he died of a drug overdose in 1982 before the season started in real life. And so he'll be back, we think, after 119 days, work his way back into the rotation. But I like what they've got already. I mean, everybody's over 80. In fact, they're 82 and better. Salome Baroja will be either a closer. Also, Bert Roberge did a fine job in that role. Dewey, not good. Aurelio Lopez hanging in there. There's Lamar Hoyt. Now, Lamar Hoyt won the Cy Young Award in 1983. And the best that he can offer is a 6 starter, maybe long reliever. So, I don't know. But he had a lot of drug problems after the 83 season and was eventually out of baseball before too long. But he did have one tremendous year for the Sox. Let's take a look at the rest of the minor league system. Jim Seawee, they have him checked to stay. I don't do this. This is what the game does, checking Jim Seawee to keep him in AAA. How does Juan Augusto not? I mean, they have no left-handers in the bullpen, and they have all left-handers as starters. So, I mean, maybe Guy Hoffman or Mark Esser, who was their closer in 1980, right? Yeah, our first Sim season, he was their closer. Why not let Mark Esser play instead of Dewey? I don't know. They have also Rich Barnes. That's some pretty damn good numbers for a guy that I've never heard of. Bob Fallon, Reggie Patterson, all pretty decent numbers. Bill Long, Al Jones, Bruce Tanner, Chuck Tanner's son, Barry Jones. I mean, they have a lot of good players. This is a good minor league system. Even though they're names that you may not be familiar with, their numbers look pretty solid. So, like a lot of the teams we've seen so far, AAA doesn't seem to offer much, but you go deeper, and they have some decent rated players. And then they have Barrios coming eventually. So let's take a look at the stadium effects for Comiskey Park. And not great. Left-handed home runs, not awesome, but righties, 25% more likely, so that's good for Ron Kittle. Hits, not so hot for lefties or righties. Doubles, not great. Triples, pretty good. People are going to strike out a lot. Double plays around average. Errors, less likely in Comiskey Park. So, I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do. Clearly, they were a strong team down the stretch to finish second place. I don't know. They have their pitching. I mean, this is a pitching team, and these numbers for the stadium effects kind of make me think they're going to be a pitching team. So you never know how that will play out. It all comes down to Seattle. This team did some really big deals in the offseason. Take a look at what they have to offer. They've given second base back to Harold Reynolds over Julio Cruz. They still managed to make it to the World Series, even though that did not make any sense. Harold got injured, and then they kept Julio Cruz in the starting role. They made one big trade. They have the MVP, which is Ricardo Saenz. They got the nozzle, Tom Pagnozzi to catch. Dave Henderson, Gold Glover in center field. And they traded for two-time Gold Glover from the Boston Red Sox, Dave Stapleton. All the guy did was bat .284 with 22 home runs, 87 RBI, and win the Gold Glove at first base. So they've improved their team in that regard. That means Bruce Bochy is shit out of luck. He had a pretty good season, had a couple big home runs against us. And he finds himself in AAA. So Joe Simpson out of a job in right field. They're going to give the job to Rod Craig, who we did see at the end of the season. Bob Pate, what a thorn in our side. He had a home run every time we saw him. He had 27 home runs. He was traded midseason from Montreal, and he absolutely crushed it. 102 RBI, almost led the team in RBI with the MVP on the team. Their bench, I mean, the guys, Bob Stinson's rated 57, and all he did was bat .343. I don't get it. Ted Cox, Tom Foley gets to make the bench team for the first time. Yeah, I mean, you have Bruce Bochy, or Bakhti. Jim Anderson, we saw what he could do. He got called up late. Jamie Allen. Okay, so they have some good players. Phil Bradley was once an all-star in real life. They have Mario Mendoza. A bunch of schlubs here. Ricky Nelson passed away in real life last year. R.I.P. Ricky Nelson. Okay, so they've got Dick Schofield. They got Alvin Davis. Those are some good names. Orlando Mercado. Mercado. They have Otis Nixon's brother, Donnell Nixon. Mickey Brantley, Michael Brantley's dad. And they have Mark McGwire in single A, rated an 80 already. His power is a 98. He had 21 home runs in single A last year, batting .205. That sounds like Mark McGwire. He was still a year away from being on the Team USA, so he's not ready for the majors. But his numbers look pretty good. His ratings look pretty good. So Seattle's going to look good for a while. Who else are we looking at here? Jim Presley, third baseman, looks good. There's Mark Grace, another first baseman. Who's going to make it to the majors first, Mark Grace or Mark McGwire? So this team is looking so good. I don't see how they can lose next year. Plus, their pitching staff, who we're going to take a look at now, is amazing. So they have Mark Langston. He won the Cy Young Award last year. Roy Branch might have won the Cy Young, but he got injured and missed all of the playoffs. Floyd Bannister put up a great year. Jim Beatty was injured, but got some PT at the end and was solid. Rob Dreslough, how many games did he lose? He lost 22 games and is a .500 pitcher and bested us in the playoffs. Plus, they traded for Mark Littell, who was the closer for the Cardinals last year. So they traded for him in the offseason, and he can't even make the team. Carlos Diaz, the lefty closer, that never works out well. Manny Sarmiento had 30 saves. Ed Vandenberg, Rick Anderson, a good season in relief. Rick Honeycutt, So look, they have a lefty-righty, lefty-righty, lefty-righty. I mean, that's the way it should be. That's the way a bullpen should be set up, I think. So there's no room for Mark Littell. That's insane. Buddy Black, 86 as a starter. He could be on this team. Certainly better than Rob Dreslough. Who else do they have here? Brian Snyder, Bob Stoddard. The other Stoddard brother, Lee Guterman. Brian Clark. Bill Swift. He was on that Team USA with Mark McGuire. Floyd Yeomans. Whitey. I just called him Whitey. Wally Whitehurst. Yeah. I mean, this is a really good team. This is maybe the best team in the American League. Probably better than the Yankees. Definitely better than us. Because they have some proven starters. We do not have that. Our fourth and fifth starters, we do not know what is going to happen. Let's take a look at the Kingdom. I believe this is the second. No, they've had the Kingdom the whole time, right? Yeah, what am I talking about? So the Kingdom, you're going to hit some home runs here. Lefties and righties succeed pretty well. Lefties and batting succeed. Righties are 13% below average, so that's not so great. Doubles are average. Triples below average. Strikeouts are going to happen a ton here, apparently. Double plays are not. Maybe that's with the turf. And errors are a little bit more likely. Overall park factor right around average. So, yeah, the Kingdom is going to give Seattle exactly what it needs to be successful. And I'm fairly certain that they're going to win the American League West. So that's going to do it for our preview video of the American League West. I can't see it really playing out much differently than it did last year. Maybe Texas gets a little bit better because their ballpark is geared toward pitchers and not hitters. So that might help them. Other than that, this division is going to basically play out about the same. I think we're going to see Seattle in the playoffs once again, unless Chicago somehow maybe makes a trade for another good bat. Otherwise, Seattle's going to be the class of the American League. So that's going to do it for today. We're going to come back in a couple of days. We're going to take a look at the National League East and give them a preview. So until then, everyone, have a great night.